And good morning to you. It's iFiber One News Radio, Daybreak Show. I'm Jeff Slakey, and on the phone line, State Senator Tim Sheldon. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
How you
Good
doing?
morning. Great. What a beautiful day out there.
Well, it's cold, but it makes it look for a clear day, and we're expecting some potential snow here in the next little bit coming our way, and could be getting here before too long.
We need some.
I know we do need some, and
we're gonna introduce a bill to get some more snow in the winter. So we got to have a little bit.
Jeez. Think you get 50% on that one?
Yeah, I think so.
I saw a pretty good report on the revenue forecast for the state.
Yes.
Things look good for the paying the teachers. Maybe finally wrapping up that Hearst decision. What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's inevitable that we have this big bulge in the state revenues because of what's going on in King County.
Right.
You know, when you have 68 tower cranes, I think it's the number, which is more than New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and I think one other big city like Pittsburgh. I mean, that's just amazing.
It really is.
And it's really generated by the real estate excise tax that the property sales generate. So this is manna from heaven. At least we can do some things that we need to do, and perhaps reduce property taxes and maybe a temporary reduction this year, because our property taxes will go up this year and down considerably next year. But in King County, it's even worse. So I think the majority party is looking for something that will flatten out those fluctuations.
For sure, for sure. So do you think this will be enough to finally move past the Hearst decision and let you guys in the legislature start looking at other things?
Oh yeah, Hearst is behind us. The the school's decision is where Jeff will use maybe $800 or $900 million, even close to $1 billion of this anticipated revenue, and that will get us completely out of jail with the state Supreme Court, hopefully.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Saw yesterday as well in the House of Representatives, at least, pausing for a little bit to look back and remember the men, women, children that Japanese ancestry sent to internment camps. Is there anything in the Senate done yesterday about this?
Yes. Last week we did have a similar resolution and some speeches on the floor, and we had we still have a lot of Japanese Americans who live on Bainbridge Island, and that was one of the points of departure. You know, it was a very sad day when those people had to pack up and go to Eastern Washington and internment camps. But look back in history, it was hotly debated then. It was President Roosevelt who made that decision. But a lot of history there, and a lot to learn from those things that happened.
There's a lot of renewed conversation across the country now in the wake of the Florida shooting, and it looks like students and teachers both are gearing up for a walkout March 14th as they continue these conversations. Do you think, what are your thoughts on these types of protests, student protests as well? And then is there any appetite in the legislature for continued gun control, anything on the bump stocks or anything like that?
Well, I think that it's really great that students are getting involved. I mean, that is different. You know, these are younger kids that are still in high school, probably born even, just in kindergarten when Columbine happened, when the first big one happened. So I think it's great that students are getting involved. I think President Trump is making some statements about mental health, and I think it's very appropriate that we realize that people that are sane, that are level-headed, are not committing these awful acts. So I think at the federal level, if we have some better background checks and containment of some of the issues that come from mental illness and treatment of mental illness, I think we'll be way ahead. So I'm looking for something out of the federal government. I think we'll do some more at the local level here in Washington State. We have, over the past few years, made some big strides in keeping weapons out of the hands, at least from the gun sales hands, transfers for domestic violence abusers and those those people and felons. So, the one thing is you can get a gun legally, but you can also get a gun so easily illegally.
Right.
So many weapons are traded down the street from burglaries. And I know if we have obviously a substantial number of burglaries here in Mason County, and the first thing they look for is guns because they're so liquid that they can obtain cash for them very easily.
This is a tough subject and important in the sense that a lot of folks equate it to licensing of a car, perhaps, but this is a protected right in the Constitution, the Second Amendment there. So federally, do you think it's feasible to get something federally done, or will it always kind of shake out to be a state-by-state issue?
Well, I think it is. It is feasible on the federal level. I know that our state legislature is very concerned about it, but because guns can be transported across state lines, the FBI does the background checks, not the state. So when you buy a pistol, for example, you're going to have an FBI background check, and the state is not able to do that. The feds need to do it because they have the database that covers every state and even foreign countries.
What else is happening in the state Senate this week? That I know you're hearing a bunch of House bills, and is there any movement on any House bills that you find interesting?
Well, Dan Griffey's bill got a lot of press last night on abolishing the statute of limitations for sex abuse cases.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will pass this year, and kudos to Dan and his wife who worked very hard on this issue. So,
what are some of the I'm having a hard time understanding some of the pushback on extending this statute of limitations to everybody, or keeping it just with kids and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of things pass in steps. The bill did not get a hearing last year in the Senate. It passed out of the House with good majority. So sometimes sponsors and members like to see something phased in a little bit.
Okay.
So I think it'll pass this year, but it may not pass with a blanket abolishment of the statute of limitations for all sex crimes. But I think we'll make big progress with it this year.
Very nice. State Senator Tim Sheldon, always nice talking with you, and we'll check in next week as we're getting this thing wrapped up here, huh?
Yeah. Now this week, we'll be starting on maybe Friday, starting to pass the budgets out of the Senate.
Okay.
The House will do the same. But take a look. I think we're going to find some dollars for the city of Sheldon for some projects, and around the county we'll have a small capital budget, hopefully. And I work on the transportation budget. I'm one of 4 senators that writes that. So I'm hopeful we'll have some things for Mason County and the 35th District in that transportation budget, as well as the general operating and capital budgets.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Senator, nice talking with you, and we'll talk next week.